Live.
What's up, guys? Sorry, my cat is. Come on.
Moment we hit record.
It's all good. Thanks for coming out, guys. Not really sure what this pod will be, what our direction is in general, but it's just a bunch of guys just hanging out talking about Bitcoin. I think today we'll just go over just introductions and some rabbit hole stories, maybe see how everyone's 2020 has been going and see how the future of Bitcoin is or going to be, or what we think it's going to be. Let's start with Scott.
Oh, I'm on the hook. That's exciting.
Yeah, we'll start with let's just start with your rabbit hole story. Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit before, but I was, how to put this? Let's see here. I think the first time I heard about it, I was in like 2012, 13, but it was just kind of like it was kind of, not very, I didn't really know much about it and I didn't really do anything with it at that point. And kind of forgot about it for a number of years. I actually was in transition at the time. I was moving out of a previous career into another career, which then, is what I'm currently doing now. And, but then I remember then it coming back up in the office in my work at my work, in my employment, with a number of, with a couple of coworkers, getting excited about it in the 2017 bull run. Because of my experience in day trading, I noticed that there was a little bit too much hype with it, so I kind of sat on the sidelines and didn't really do anything with it, and just kind of followed along for the next few years until the beginning of 2020, when I kind of dug into it enough to where I was thinking, hey, this could be interesting, this could be useful and worthwhile and all that other stuff. And I initially my first purchase of Bitcoin was in February of 2020. And I also I got most of my largest position was in Bitcoin, but I did get some alternate coins. But then after going down the rabbit hole, if you will, and learning a lot more about it, I basically sold off those coins and have been a maximalist since then, and have been steadily stacking for the last almost a year now, and just learning more and more about hard money and Austrian economics, that kind of thing.
Nice, man. Thanks, Scott. B, you want to go over your story?
Wait, hold on. I got a question.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, go for it.
What Austrian economics did you get into first, or what book or author, or did you read?
No, it was, I read the Bitcoin Standard and then a couple of other books. So it's Seifedin.
That's a great book. Yeah,
it's a good book. And then I wrote it. I started reading in kind of like the late spring, early summer, and was really reading it and really read it most of the summer.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. So I guess B is what I'll be going by professionally, or however you want to look at it. My rabbit hole story. So it was 2017. I was working on a project with a temporary worker. He was interesting, to say the least, and he was telling me about this Bitcoin thing and Satoshi and all this type of stuff, and I was quite interested. I'm very open-minded, so I listened to what he had to say. I think at the time the price was hovering around $600 to $800, somewhere in that range. worked with him a few more days. He just kept on trying to pill me the whole time, and went home to my wife. I'm not a millionaire or anything like that by any means. We were living, paycheck to paycheck, pretty tight. I think we had about $2,000 roughly in our bank account. And I was ready to spend our life savings with the family on 2 Bitcoins. So I sat her down and proposed this to her. And she looked at me and she said, "What are you, fucking nuts?" And I said, "Yeah, we both kind of know this. You knew what you were getting into when you got married to me."
Right.
And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "You want to spend our entire life savings? We have a house and 2 kids on internet money." She's like, "Not happening." So I was like, it was a fair argument in her defense. That's an emergency savings. It would have been pretty risky and bold, but as history shows, bold moves like that tend to pay off. But we sat on the sidelines, and I got to say "I told you so" to my wife for a good amount of time there as we watched it skyrocket to 17, 19, 20, whatever the all-time high now is, like previously forgotten of the last run. What was the exact number?
Depends on the exchange.
It depends on the exchange.
Anywhere near 19.
Accurately. Yeah, but I got to rub that in her face, but it was also a kick in the ass. So fast forward to coronavirus. I had a buddy that took up a job. So we sat in sidelines, watched it skyrocket, watched it crash, and then I kind of forgot about it. Went back to everyday life. I had a job that put food on the table, paid the mortgage, and kind of got by like the average American, I'd say. Coronavirus hits. I'm working from home. I got a little bit of free time on my hands. Volume dropped tremendously at work for a bit. I had a buddy that picked up some temp job at like an airport or something, doing temp scans or something simple, where he had a lot of time to kind of surf the web and whatnot. And I had removed myself from social media for about 10 years at this time. I believe it was about 10 years. No Facebook, no Instagram, no nothing like that. And I have various reasons for that, which I can explain later. But he says, "Yo, what's up with, have you seen or heard anything about this Bitcoin?" And I'm like, I heard about it a few years ago and kind of told him my story. And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's popping off again." I was like, "Well, where are you hearing this from?" He's like, "YouTube." I'm like, you can sell anything, you can sell anybody anything on YouTube if you're the right person, or the right buyer, I guess. And so I took his advice. I kind of had some money, I guess. The stimulus was starting to hit. It wasn't even the stimulus yet. It was being locked down and receiving, being fortunate to have a job and having a steady, salary income while being locked down and not being able to go out and eat and do stuff with the kids that I normally do. And next thing you know, I'm sitting on like a savings of a lifetime, and very fortunate for that. So I had more money than usual, and quite manic at times. And I made a knee-jerk decision to slam some big cash on Bitcoin without doing any research whatsoever, and just off of my buddies, who I think he's lucky if he has a GED. Not to insult him or anything, but I'm not sure how far exactly he's gone educational wise, but off of his YouTube financial advice per se, I slam more money than I have on anything else in my life down on Bitcoin. And I kind of reversed, I like to refer to it as reverse skin in the game. So I slammed a bunch of money in it. The price was rising and it caught my attention. I was like, whoa, like this is what's going on, and I want to learn more about this. So I made a firm decision and commitment during the coronavirus to dedicate all my free time into podcast, the Bitcoin standard, all the basics pretty much. And then eventually I ended up on Bitcoin Twitter. all the plebes, or is it plebs? I know this is a big hot topic at the moment.
I don't know.
I don't pretend to know.
I can't keep up with them. Dennis, I think, is at the forefront of the current sayings. So you caught quite a bit of interaction today for saying that you bought your first Bitcoin.
So stupid. I'm glad people noticed, but yeah, it was a waste of time.
But yeah, so that's pretty much my story. I slammed a bunch of money down, and then the price was going up. It was interesting. It made no sense for me to pull out at the time, and I started to educate myself on it. It was like, whoa, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? Like, this is beautiful. Like, this guy deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. This is amazing stuff. It's stuff that I can't really speak of too much because it's above my pay grade. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a quantitative mathematician. I'm not a, financial guru. I've run it by some people that are, engineers with MBAs that specialize in math and, or would be totally opposed to Bitcoin. I've shoved it down their throat. They've read the white paper and they've had, responses that were astonishing to me, somewhat speculative, but on paper, it looks pretty damn good. And, these are responses that I was, expecting, you're crazy. Don't be putting your money into that stuff. You're going to lose all your money, etc. I have an uncle that's been on Wall Street since, I don't know, he's 60 years old and he went straight from college onto Wall Street. So I run, I'm always running decisions by him and whatnot, and it's kind of bouncing things off him. He actually mentioned Bitcoin and Ethereum and some exposure a while back, but I wouldn't really call it a discovery. It was more kind of just conversation, went over the head and on to the next thing. But yeah, that's my story. After slamming all my money down, I continued to do so. Stacking sats. I sold everything. I was a power lifter. Home gyms were in high demand. I sold my bench press, my bar, my weights, everything I had. I had like a COVID drive-through going on in my house. It was like the peak of COVID. I had a pallet sitting outside. I would sanitize everything. Everybody was sending me cash via Venmo. I was a complete germaphobe during the beginning of this, and I had a pretty sweet system down and made some cash pretty quick, and I ended up selling anything that collected an ounce of dust and putting it into Bitcoin. And ever since then, I've been doing that with any excess cash I come across, or, I have a weekly limitation of my paycheck that is allocated towards Bitcoin.
Wow. Nice.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, what initially got you into Bitcoin Twitter?
So I started off with, I went onto YouTube, started following the Moon Carl
Oh yeah,
and Crypto.
yeah, those guys.
Yeah, those guys. They do a bit of altcoin shilling, and they're traders.
Mhm.
But I gotta say, some of their TNA has been on point time and time again. I mean, I don't know what TNA is worth, and how it weighs in on Bitcoin and if it'll apply in the future. But so far, their records got to be pretty decent. But I started with them, and then they had Twitter accounts, so I hopped on Twitter, started to follow who they followed, and I think I just did pretty much what everyone does and just started to follow who all the cool kids were in the space. And yeah, from there it was like welcome to heaven and hell at the same time. Bitcoin Twitter is a completely interesting, unique, and beautiful thing. It's a community that I've never been a part of. I've been exposed to Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been exposed to the crew prior to me joining Alcoholics Anonymous, if you follow what I'm saying. I've met some interesting characters along the way, and Bitcoin Twitter is some next level shit. It's great. It's addicting. It's I often find it interfering with my work, and I'm trying to
I have, yeah.
kind of trying to balance the two. And I often find myself deleting the app off my phone for a day and buckling down. And luckily at work I have some weekly deadlines which allow me to kind of Twitter Monday through Wednesday and fucking turn my phone off and pull
It's an
two
interesting perk.
16-hour days Thursday and Friday and look like a good student at the end of the day.
It can be a challenge, huh? Especially in the bull market. You're like, oh, maybe you start thinking of your escape plan and then ignoring your work or whatever. It could be a challenge.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next in the order then.
Yeah. Go for it, Gabe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was my ex-wife got her PhD in economics, and then when she was in grad school, I became friends with some of them. And it was at George Mason, so there was a lot of Austrians there. A couple I got pretty close with, and so I started reading like Murray Rothbard, it's For New Liberty, and I was looking, at that the Mises Institute has daily articles and blogs. I was pretty into that in the 90s and 2000s. And I was even blogging about Bernanke before he got, as he was coming to be nominated after Greenspan, and some of his speeches talking about helicopter money, and he approved of it. And I was like all angry. And I was also, I didn't want to buy a house then. I was, that's when I had my first kid in 2003. I was worried about, I was like, dude, should we buy? Should we not? I'm like, I don't want to. Telling my wife, it's a bubble, the prices, but the house prices kept skyrocketing, so I was like, and then, I think, in 2004, we finally bought, and it worked out great for us anyway, but it's tough. It's hard decisions because you're like, well, I know it's a bubble, but I don't know when it's going to stop. Kind of like the Big Short, Michael Berry thing. I guess I was fascinated by that. But, so anyway, I became a gold bug over that decade because I was just critical of the monetary policy, and I became convinced. I'm like, they know, they talk to the Bernanke or the Federal Reserve, they talk to the head of Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan. They have phone calls weekly or, or monthly or periodic. We don't know when they have the phone calls, what they talk about. I'm sure they get some clue of when they're going to print or not. They have a little better heads up than the 28-year-old who has a kid who's trying to decide whether to buy a house or not, take out this mortgage for 10 times their salary, or 20 times or whatever it is now. It's a lot of money. It seemed like, you're putting yourself into permanent servitude, I remember as a 30-year-old so I was very critical. I became a gold bug, and I was reading the gold GATA. That was like a big thing in the gold speculating market, silver and gold. Those guys, even like the Peter Schiff. These are all these guys that he was into, and partly his stuff. They were saying, oh, the government's manipulating the gold market. They buy up the miners, and then they've kind of forced the miners to to do these different tricks to help bring on more supply. Anyway, so when Bitcoin came out with the firm 21 million limit, and the well-defined monetary policy where it's not a guess, nobody has the inside edge on when they're going to reduce production of Bitcoin. It's just right out there in the clear. That seemed like a much more fair way to do monetary policy. But I'm not a good enough coder to understand, SHA-256 or, to really trust it, right? So I didn't believe it at all. I was like, it's no good. I was basically Peter Schiff's at school for up until 2016. I started really when that.
Oh, no.
And then I lost some money I made some money in 2017, but then also I lost some money on the scams. I did some shit coins. But overall, it was a good experience. But I was just started really studying the halvening cycle and things like that in preparation for this one. And I don't know, I guess my net worth did go up like 4 times over the last 4 months, which is more than I've ever made in anything really. So, I still have my day job, but I'm hoping, who knows if it goes. I mean, the big thing is with the halvening cycle for me is I look at the number of all-time highs or kind of an all-time high, ratio. And, we've had 18 all-time highs this cycle. The previous one, there was 74. I'm looking at daily all-time highs, and the previous one there was 55. So, I think there's going to be more all-time highs this cycle just from that reduction of that production. So I'm optimistic, and I would like the world to have a better, more honest and transparent monetary policy, because it seems like a scam. There's a certain priest class that gets to decide, and we don't know who they talk to and who all they give it to. We know there's primary dealers, and they have a sort of esoteric way of creating the new money with issuing bonds, and that's where I am. So I'm excited over the last 4 months.
Amen.
Yeah.
No question.
Thanks, good. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
One thing, I don't know if you didn't want some more. I do this natural gas stuff though. I do put a lot of energy into like fundamentals for gas and power. And so when people bring up the criticism that it wastes energy and it's inefficient because Bitcoin consumes a lot of electricity and they say it's bad for the environment, I think there's a lot of good arguments against that. One being, the energy markets are they're complicated. There's not one price of electricity. You have stranded electricity and power all over the world, by time and by place. So, Chicago at night can have, close to, a penny. It can get close to zero because they have a nuclear plant and a bunch of coal running. Costs a lot of money to shut them down. They got to leave them running to meet the peak in the day. So even a place like Chicago could have close to zero prices, during the off hours. And then that's become more and then, they had a lot of mining in China at the dams. If you have a dam running all year and you can't let it flood, you can only, you can't hold up the water only so much. So you got to let some through, even if there isn't demand there. And then, they have negative prices. That's when they started that's when the mining was pretty heavy there, from 2010 to 2017. I mean, it still is, but that was, those types of places that happens all over the world in different spots. We flare billions of cubic feet of natural gas a day because every time you drill for oil, you get natural gas. So if in Nigeria, if you don't have in North America, we have a gas pipeline network that covers the whole continent or a lot of the continent, but where you don't, we still flare 5 billion cubic feet a day here. But anyway, in Africa or these other remote places where they don't have a gas pipeline network, they flare it, so I've seen, there has been some work on that where they, instead of flaring it means burning it. they just light a match, and it's a giant flume of gas burning 24 hours a day, which that can be converted to electricity, and you can mine Bitcoin, and boom, you could throw your Bitcoin, through the magical internet from remote Africa to New York City. So it's like a way to, basically transmit that energy to anywhere in the world, or
Isn't
through.
that what Denver Bitcoin does? He uses.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter a lot. He's actually doing that.
I wonder if that was part of the infrastructure behind Akon's journey and the little mission that he had there in the project. Is that still ongoing? Does anybody know?
I don't know. Denver Bitcoin seems pretty active, that guy on Twitter.
Yeah, no, he's definitely in the States. He's a super nice, chill dude, and definitely seems to have the science and have it down pat.
And so those types of things, Bitcoin is a huge incentive to go and develop, different ways to convert energy, not just gas, but, there's geothermal energy in Iceland, but there's only 250,000 people there. So, no matter how much they produce, it doesn't quite make sense. But then if you have a way to convert electricity to money, then it provides this incentive to convert it, or in the Sahara Desert, you can take, solar energy, convert it, there's no incentive to do it there right now because there's no population. It costs, billions of dollars to build power lines. You have resistance loss. You lose like 2-3% for every 500 miles you transport over high power lines. But with Bitcoin, it provides this incentive to innovate and try to capture energy in any way you can. So it kind of, I don't want to credit Bitcoin with the rapid innovation in solar and wind the last few years, but it does provide the incentive to generate energy anywhere in the world that you can, whatever way you can, and it will reward humans that try to do that. And that's kind of important to the technological advancement, I think. So the idea that it's bad for the environment, I disagree with. I mean, there's been a lot, even like the reason I say this is because shale, that was a big innovation for gas, right? In the US, we produce over 90 billion cubic feet a day now. Back in 2000, it was like 56 billion cubic feet a day. So it's a huge amount of new gas production. And that's due to technology improvement, but they knew about shale 60 years before. And the majors didn't want to invest in it because of that. I mean, it didn't really suit them. And miners, small mom and pop shops, basically, wildcatters and whatnot, were experimenting. And they kept experimenting, and they were lowering the cost with each little experiment. They put different, amounts of sand. They mix different mixtures of sand or different types of sand with the water that they were injecting into the ground and blowing up in different ways. And as they continued to experiment with these different techniques, they finally kept lowering the cost. And it became a huge thing. And then the majors had to get in because the competition was there. But they really did not, they didn't invest in that technology at all. They didn't really want to, in my opinion. And that's, and I worked with some of those companies. So,
yeah, do you see big players coming in anytime soon, like Exxon, Chevron, all those guys?
I don't know.
They're probably already there, but I don't know.
I don't like BP has been in it depends on what you mean. I don't see them in Bitcoin right now. No. MicroStrategy is a pretty huge thing, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty fascinated. I do own a good amount of MicroStrategy, at least for me, not for real people, but I think that's huge. I don't see how any company could look at MicroStrategy and see their market cap go up 5x over 5 months and not say, hey, why do we have our money in cash? Why do we have $1 billion in cash? MicroStrategy had 400 million. They turned it into, they went up 5x over 5 months. What are we doing? Well, it's down.
Wait, where's Tesla? Tesla needs to buy in.
Somebody's got to. I guess even though there's a premium in the MicroStrategy stock with the Bitcoin to market cap thing now.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to have, I don't know, Michael Saylor, hear him talk, and I think he's convincing people to, listening to him, I think other companies are going to follow him. I think they would have anyway, but you saw that they're offering that course now for other companies to teach them how.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes a couple.
Yeah. Scott, do you see any companies coming in soon besides Tesla?
I'm not following that type of thing right now, to be honest. I don't know like what companies have balance sheets and stuff like that. It's not something I track.
There's just,
what do you mostly track then? Or what do you like to follow within the Bitcoin space?
What do I like to follow in the Bitcoin space? That's a good question. I don't know. I get a kick out of the what's the word I'm looking for? The personalities that are in there, like
Mr. Hoddle.
Things like guys like American Hoddle and you've got and Stony Bits, and I really I really appreciate his viewpoint, especially because he's building things that are useful,
Yeah.
and that's what's important in general when it comes to being successful in the world,
Right.
and especially in a world with hard money.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I appreciate and follow.
Hmm.
At least I'm
For sure.
pretty simple.
I like that.
I'm an old fart though, so I'm not young like you guys.
Yeah, and I feel bad at myself for sitting at a computer, and I would like, I'm jealous of the Stony for doing real stuff. I was like,
I've done my fair share of real work over the years, off and on.
Yeah, same. I helped my family build a tiny house like a few years ago. I don't think I ever want to build a house again after
No.
that.
And it's a tiny house.
But yeah, but it's really good to get into like other industries like that. If you're, I don't know, if you're young and you have the energy to do so, I think it's worth at least trying.
yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I really don't want to sit at a computer the rest of my life. I would like
Same, man.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that in my home office I have a standing desk, so I can sit and stand. But it's still at a computer, and I do occasionally get to touch things. We do actually make things I do actually make things for a living, sort of.
What do you make?
I work for an automotive supplier, so we make wire harnesses for automotive, for cars.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I think it's incredible that Bitcoin can touch every industry, no matter who you are or what you're into. You can utilize it somehow, and if you don't, you could just have it as your treasury.
It's interesting. It's interesting. We don't, obviously, my company isn't in any way, shape, or form likely to do that. But
Mhm.
I actually have a manager that has been in the space for quite a few years, and he's a computer guy, so he's been kind of tinkering with it for a number of years, and has always been kind of a hard money kind of a person. He's not actually the one that I got most of my information from. It was another coworker who went and got an economics degree as an engineer. He was an engineer working as an engineer and decided he wanted to learn about economics and went and got an economics degree, and is on the weekends and focused on his focus. He focused on Austrian economics somehow in a university economics program, which is insane to think.
Pretty rare. There's a lot of
because most of them are talking about modern monetary theory, but
they hide it. They hide it.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably hit it pretty well. But yeah, no question. So yeah, he's the one that actually I got a lot of my my knowledge and information from when I was talking about it at work, just hitting him up for information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess getting into a bit of my own rabbit hole story, I kind of had to do it all on my own. I didn't know anyone within the space. My first encounter with it was when the Winklevoss twins were, they were on like CNBC or something like that in 2013, 2014 when it first hit 1,000. I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I have no idea what this, like, how do you have a currency that's like digital? I didn't really understand it. And at the time I was, really into stocks and everything. And I was like, well, it went up this much that fast, so it's definitely not gonna, it's not gonna succeed or get as big as a company. But I mean, now we all know that's not how you're supposed to evaluate Bitcoin. It's not a company at all.
No.
Yeah. But I think around like 2017, started getting into altcoins, all that fun stuff with altcoins. And then I just stuck around with it and started joining mining pools with my GPU. got paid a little bit throughout
Mm.
2018, and then I didn't really go super hard until I saw Bitcoin go back up to, I think it was like 6 or 7K around like what was it? The spring of 2019. So I had a little bit of Bitcoin, but not as much as I should have had, but it is what it is. Just went all in, I think, after that. I was like, okay, I see these cycles. I should actually learn what's going on here.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, I didn't appreciate the cycles until, I mean, I didn't really appreciate, I didn't understand the cycles until I started digging a lot more.
It's crazy that they're out there and that it's
Mhm.
free public information. It makes me laugh sometimes.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a smart friend that was interested in Bitcoin, and I told him, back in the spring, I'm like, dude, the halving's coming up. Like the amount he was interested in crypto, he knew it was a big thing, and some people are taking it serious. And like the halving's for 2 months, there's going to half the production, and then it's going to, inform. He's like, yeah, but won't that be priced in? That's like the standard. That's like
Yeah,
the
right.
response. It seems like
We know about it. Of course, it's going to be priced in, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while for that stuff to flow through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess yeah, we could transition into something like well, I guess you guys sort of already talked about it. I heard 2020 went. I don't know if you guys have anything to add. Like, where do you see all the events that took place throughout 2020 affecting our 2021, 2022 into the next halving? I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that.
Well, I'm kind of surprised. We're looking at cycles, just looking at cycles during the bear market part. People are like, it's getting longer, or it's getting lower. This cycle won't be as big of a peak as the last one. But right now, if you compare this one to the last one, we are tracking ahead of it, which is a bit surprising. It's a bit, and I don't think that's 100% independent of the fact that like M2 is like that. All these all these.
Only
Stimulus
thing that
packages.
can go, the only things that can go basically straight up or
Yeah,
bottom
right.
are Bitcoin
Yeah.
and modern monetary theater.
And V can do it.
And M1 and M1, M2, money supply.
Yeah. So if they keep doing that, I mean, that's just going to accelerate it some. But still, I think I don't think cycles are done though. I've talked to people like, this could be it because it's going to take so much. The mainstream is going to accept it. We're going to have 100 companies putting it as their treasury policy all over the world. Our cities are looking at Miami doing it now. But I guess I still think you get this pyramid of people into it. The higher it gets, the hype cycle, the more people are just in it to, it's just total day traders. It gets wacky. People are doing it just to have no idea what it even is. They're just buying it because it's going. The FOMO, like the more FOMO crowd you get, and the less people, I think, that have will even bother to read like one book on anything Austrian or have any idea what monetary policy even is. Or I think if you get that crowd more in it, then they're going to be more likely to panic, or even just the fact that S2F model, that's done pretty damn well. So if it gets to a multiple of 2 times S2F, 3 times S2F, I think people are going to get skittish. And I think there'll be I don't think we're done with the collapses, the cycles. I don't think we're done with them. That's my opinion though.
Yeah. I'm kind of leaning more towards whatever's most painful for retail.
Most
So
painful.
kind of what Bitcoin Tina was talking about. I don't know if you guys have seen that thread where he has the three. So the 3 options. So I think the first option was it's what everyone expects it to be, goes to 250, goes back down to 50K, just like the previous cycles or however stock to flow is presenting itself.
Yeah.
So that's the first option. And then the second one would be I think we go straight up. I don't know if, I think one of them was we go straight up to 100K and then we fizzle out around the maybe 80 to 120 range, and then we just shoot up to 1.2 million or something crazy like that.
In 2024 or this year? Or
This cycle, something
this,
crazy like that.
yeah, could.
Scott, do you remember the third one that Tina was talking about?
No, but I can look it up.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd probably mess me up if it went to 120 down to 8. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So whatever's the most painful for retail. What was that, B?
I believe the third one was extremely bullish, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. It just goes up. It goes up and up and up, and then just stays there.
Yes.
Yeah, it like just kind of steadily goes up because basically it's going on to balance sheets of retail, not retail, of market in industry type.
Just U.S.
Now.
dollar collapse by 2024. It's just done. It's like these are the last 4 years of the dollar.
No, I don't think. I think the U.S. dollar's got more resilience than we think.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that would be the
Fortunately,
I guess, right?
Yeah. I think Bitcoin will be, what is it, living parallel to all fiat, or at least the ones that are going to stick around. I think
there's.
I don't know if it'll ever replace it, but who knows? I know everyone.
And I tend to agree with a lot of some of the stuff that's come from like Lynn Alden and those kind of things where the base layer will be a settlement layer.
Yeah.
And that there will be other layers that are used for day-to-day transactions and smaller transactions. Very similar to which is very similar, and she makes it clear that it's very similar to what's done in most banking systems as well. It just can be done by individuals.
Well,
in this case.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Without
do you have any
interface with the bank?
Oh yeah, with the bank. B, do you have any predictions for 2021?
Any predictions for 2021? I mean, I'm totally new to the space. I made a comment the other day. I don't claim to be the smartest, or I don't claim to be brilliant, but I try to surround myself with brilliant people and follow their actions. And that tends to play out pretty well.
I think that's most Bitcoiners, to be honest, which is fine. Like, I'm in that pool. I don't care.
Yes. I mean, looking at the charts, early on, I was pretty married to the stock to flow chart.
Sure.
Listened to all of Plan B's podcasts and whatnot, and it was like every other sentence, it was like a light bulb going off in my head. I'm like, aha, that makes sense. Like, this is another buy. So what is he at, 288 now? I don't know, 3 to 5, 300,000 to 500,000.
I did like
Why not?
What I heard on, I don't know, something I read somewhere on Twitter. They were like, oh, this time that these stocks were going to be like the altcoins this time. They were talking about alt season last time was, the alts, but this time it was going to be like these, whatever companies put it on their balance. MicroStrategy, Riot, MARA, Silvergate, these different equities that people can access with because in this world, there's a lot of people with 401ks, IRAs, that they can't get it in the Bitcoin, or it's too much trouble for them to fill out the forms to do it. And so like, what stock is correlated? And they're like, oh, pour it into that. So there could be a rush to those, I think, or that could be an interesting parallel. Like history rhymes, it doesn't repeat. So maybe
they crash, people lose money or panic.
Yeah, to further elaborate a little bit, I think so my price prediction is kind of taking like the leading predictions that seem to be within a reasonable range of each other and kind of getting an average out of that. And then I think Palm touched upon it the other day that with the institutions coming in, all it takes is, I during this podcast I pulled up the Bitcoin treasuries, and you have MicroStrategy, you have Square, but the rest of the companies to me seem to be crypto-based crypto investment firms. You're not seeing any mainstream companies coming in yet. And I believe it was Pomp touched upon this, but once you get that first person to dive in, and like you said before, you know, you were saying before, you have other companies looking at micro strategies. You know, what is it? They're
Just the price appreciation.
yeah, the price appreciation 5xing, and their market cap 5x since their investment and since their move.
Yeah.
You're going to get that same FOMO that, you know, happens to, you know, Dick's, and then Dick's Sporting Goods.
That would be a good one.
You know, who I don't know who competes with Dick's, but
That's appropriate for you to bring that up. I think.
oh jeez,
Mr. B. That would be a good one to be the second.
Foot Locker joins, right? And
Dude,
then,
we gotta
and then
start.
finish line, ironically, is standing there looking at Foot Locker's, you know, market cap 5x.
Yeah.
How long can they sit there and do that for? And then when finish line jumps in, who's the next one?
Right.
And then it's a domino effect, and that's what, you know. I think my price predictions are a bit on the bullish side, and I'm definitely a noob, and I don't know all too much, but
Dude,
it's going to take some time for that to play out, and I don't know if it can happen in a year. But when you know, what's the saying? It's sudden, or, you know, gradually then suddenly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we could be in for it, boys. I'm excited. I think we have, you know, I think 2020, the stimulus, the corona, it's been a tough year for everybody, but it's definitely has had its silver linings. And, you know, this could be the perfect black storm for Bitcoin this cycle.
I want to look at Dick's balance sheet now. I think we got to start a campaign for those guys.
Hey, you never know, man. You got these NFL guys, you know. Hey, they're
Right.
sponsored by Dick's, you know. What's going, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless with Bitcoin, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like how everything relies on Bitcoin just doing its thing. Like the alts would be, I mean, they're nothing without Bitcoin. These companies, they're going to be eventually nothing without Bitcoin. I mean, MicroStrategy is the perfect example of that. Like, Michael Saylor couldn't have picked a better way to increase shareholder value, like right there within like 1 or 2 quarters.
What's he gonna do if it really? I mean, if it's at say it got to 250K per Bitcoin this cycle. I mean, what's his next step then? I mean, he's got to know there is some danger of the fall after. Does he buy land? Does he build a big citadel?
But even then, if it falls after, he's still got a huge liquid asset on his balance sheet.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it if it falls after. It's just like he could have. He has a lot of options at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
Take advantage of it or not, or even just from my personal perspective, the first day I saw it almost doubled, I'm like, holy shit. He
could buy that 242 acres from Bill Gates.
242,000 acres.
242,000 acres. That's right. Yeah.
Or even for your own lives, though. What number did it make you reevaluate the number that you need to do something different?
That was all priced in, right? The whole Michael Saylor thing. That was a joke.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was. I just wasn't. Yeah, no, I don't think it's all priced in. No, but for me, the first day that it went up a certain amount in my IRA, I saw it. I was like, oh, it's actually possible that this dream number could be met. I'm like, what? All right. It did cost some reevaluation. I'm like, actually, would you actually be happy? What would you do? It wasn't as easy as I thought to.
I don't have a problem retiring early.
No.
It's
hard being rich.
I'll find things to do. I'm not that rich yet, but I'll find things to do.
I'll find things to do, but it's like, what would you do? What's the best thing to do? That's a tough question a bit. I don't know.
I'll try to find things to do that that are useful.
Right.
still, you know.
Hmm.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when it hit a certain point, I was like, I guess I'll just do the same thing I've been doing. I mean, there is a certain number that it has to hit where I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just quit everything and then reevaluate at that point. But right now it's like,
I mean, you
I
got
guess
dreams. Don't you?
yeah.
I don't know. I do. I had the most
Yeah.
fun of my life coaching my kids sports. I'm like, before I was like, oh, I would coach sports. I would coach these kids sports teams if it didn't matter about salary. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I taught school 1 year out of college, but then I was like, I made like 40 grand, and I was like, I can't do this. I got to go get a real job if I ever want to have family and kids and stuff. And to me, anyway, but then I'm like, there's no more excuses at some point. You're like, okay, you're not doing what you want, or you're not. You have the choice now. It's not that easy to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Like I don't have a wife and kids, so it's just sort of like, I mean, I guess I could start doing that at some point. I don't know.
My oldest goes to college next year, so it's like, I know he got into WPI, and I saw the list price is 58 grand for tuition. So I'm like, yeah.
Geez.
And then the other two are following him the next 5 years, basically. So there's will be some bills coming, but
The price will be rising.
yeah, right. Yeah, I feel a lot better about it now than I did 6 months ago. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess if I ever have kids, I just say don't do the college thing if you want, but I don't know. I don't know if by then the price will be like $250,000 for community college or something crazy like that. So I don't even know. Something stupid like that.
Yeah. And I don't feel I have that much control either. I don't know. It's like my ex would agree with that, with the don't go to college idea. And
yeah. I know it's iffy.
He's worked hard to go to college. He has good grades. Not really. I've heard that a lot. I know a lot of the arguments against it. The college bubble, the tuition thing's crazy. And I think there are some useful things you could do besides, but yeah, I'm not prepared to really try to sell my son on that.
I don't do anything related to what I studied in college.
Yeah, same.
I'm in an entirely different field.
Yeah, I was doing film and graphic design. I do a little bit of graphic design here and there, but it's mostly just IT related stuff. But yeah, you got to go to college to figure out, okay, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this other thing that pays me money.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't mind doing what I did in college. It's just that I've been out of it for so many years that I can't get into it anymore. So it would be nice. I could go back and do what I wanted to do, and I wouldn't have to worry about people paying me. Maybe they would, but I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Right. And what's that thing?
I studied materials engineering.
Yeah.
In college, so I studied materials science and engineering, and I do enjoy it. I like it.
Some new material that you would dream of making, like an insulator or metal?
Well, no, I mostly did electronic materials when I was in.
Yeah.
I've done some optical stuff as well, optical materials, lasers. I played with lasers for a little while. It was fun. I fixed airplanes for a few years. Was a structural engineer. I did failure analysis. I just like understanding how the world works and how physical things work. I'm very good at it. So yeah.
I think retirement would be very easy for me. I'm not going to have an issue at all. I mean, first of all, with my age, I am 30, so if I could retire at 40, it would be like, what the hell? Secondly, I think that's part of the big beauty behind Bitcoin is that, it is something that we are earning it. So, it's not luck. It's not like we're scratching off a lottery ticket and hitting it. We're holding through the bear markets. I mean, I just started, but I mean, I could have dipped out, you know, on the first drop or whatever. And, you know, I've gone through a few bear markets since I started it. And, you know, I've sweat a little bit in the beginning before I've, you know, really set my decision in stone through research and whatnot. But although it is something that we work for and it's hard for, it also is a gift at the same time, you know, that Satoshi gave us. And I think receiving that gift and going into the retirement phase will kind of create this pay it forward type of deal where it's like, all right, you know, I benefited due to my risk to this gift, and you know, I want to share this with others. You know, if the price goes sky high and you're holding enough to be in that position, where you know you could do some really rewarding things, you know, charity work, etc. And you know, it's all easier said than done when the prices are low, and you know the price skyrockets, and next thing you know, you're driving a Lambo down Rodeo Drive. But you know, that's not my cup of tea, and
Buying a Lambo.
more of a Japanese motor fan myself, but yeah,
Toyota.
I think there's some beauty behind that, and you know, I think a lot of the Bitcoin, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out because you know, we're all operating behind anonymous accounts, you know, posts on Twitter. What's true? You know, I know I've been guilty of being a Bitcoin maxi and, you know, skating off and sweating in the corner and trading some altcoins like a little, you know, feel like I'm a scumbag in the bathroom, you know, doing some drugs like that.
It's okay. We forgive you.
So yeah, I definitely think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but there is some potential to have like a huge pay it forward momentum with the maxis and, you know, or the Bitcoin holders and those that benefited from the riches of it. And, you know, if the riches are that great, you know, why not share them?
I want to see when that old timer guy starts distributing his Bitcoin. With his
Which guy?
50 million or whatever it is. There's some dude, old timer, I think is his name. He posts pictures of his BlockFi account.
He's on
Like,
Twitter.
oh, down 11 million today.
Oh,
You know, from 42 when it was 42,000 dropping down to 35, and he's like, down 11 million today. Laughing about it. But he's only, I mean, at that point, he's down from, you know, 50 some odd thousand, 57,000 to 47,000 is whatever, 47 million, 50 million, 57 million to 47 million. Whoop-de-doo. At some point, he's bound to distribute because, you know, maybe pass it on to his kids who will then distribute it, probably.
Yeah. No rent seekers here. You got to get rid of it at some point.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Either you're forced,
ultimately,
yeah.
ultimately it'll distribute to the Bitcoin will ultimately distribute to the people that are generating something useful, like building stone walls.
Yeah.
hopefully.
Shout out to Stony. All right, so it's 11:30. Do you guys have any closing thoughts or advice for new entrants, new coiners, or anything like that?
I think we all did a short little stint and didn't talk too much about having some experience with shitcoins or altcoins.
Oh, I can talk about that next time.
Yeah, next time.
That could be a whole
Definitely
nother
can.
episode.
I will admit I don't have a whole lot to talk about.
Good for you.
Okay. We'll just ask you questions and see if you have something to say. It's totally
Mine's
fine.
embarrassing, but I'll talk about it.
Ask me questions. Yeah.
Not today, though.
So let's do a quick price check at the moment. I'm seeing 36,258 on Coinbase. I use that just to check.
Yeah.
It's all good. I checked mine on Robinhood. That's even worse than Coinbase.
And then now we got 36.3.
I'm usually looking at Bitstamp and Bybit. Bitfinex. Those are the two I look at. Bitstamp is at 290, 36,280.
I guess we'll see what the weekend holds for us, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the week. But
Hodling and stacking every day. That's what it holds. Right?
Definitely.
you got your recurring buy on Coinbase or Swan or
I'm on Swan.
Swan?
Your daily stacking on Swan.
I haven't made the jump yet. I got to do that.
I've been doing it for a while. If you want a referral link, I can send you one.
Yeah, you send it to me. I'll do it. Yeah. Because I don't want to be. I just.
I don't know who. I don't know. I don't actually know your Twitter handle. I know.
Oh, it's Gabe H730.
Gabe H730.
Yeah, Gabe Gabe H730. I posted about the MicroStrategy a decent bit with some charts and stuff showing the relative value to Bitcoin or with some of the other stocks. I'm not. Yeah.
Nice.
I do have regular Bitcoin too, but I guess that's more, it helps keep it separated. So I'm not tempted to mess with the real Bitcoin if I play around on the other one some.
I'm not finding you, but I'll find you.
Yeah, I can share here. I'll share it with you.
Dennis has it. Yeah.
I'll share the account with you.
We were,
Let's see. Okay.
but you're gonna try to publish this, Dennis, or is it B or the two of your team, or is that?
I don't even know if we know how this thing started, but it's born.
I just put out a poll about like if you guys would like to.
Because I mean, for our crowd, it would be like a real hero if you got like American HODL or the HODL guy or Bitcoin or Stony. Yeah, those would. If you publish it, you might be able to wrangle one of those guys on. That would be pretty cool.
I'll try to get a special guest going.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm not following you. That's why.
Whoever.
I'll send you a message. I just followed you.
All right.
You
Well,
get
hey
more
guys, it
followers
was a
than
pleasure interacting with you guys.
but nobody.
It's fucking 11:30 at night on a Friday, and I'm wide awake. This is way past my bedtime.
All right. Well, thanks. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you guys.
I think I'm gonna
Thanks
jump
for that.
off.
Yeah, me
All
too.
right.
Yeah,
We'll be in
talk
touch.
later on. How we're gonna proceed with this.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You guys.
Have a good night, everybody.